In this video, I'll talk about spiritual arrest warrants. Now we know what an arrest warrant is. That is when the judge gives permission or gives an order to the local police to arrest someone. And a restraint order is when someone is prohibited from having contact with someone. So let's say you have a husband that beats his wife. The wife flees the home. She's in a home shelter, and the wife asks for a restraint order. So now the judge declares that the husband is not allowed to contact the wife, and he must remain a mile away from the wife. Neither is he allowed to contact the kids. An arrest warrant and a restraint order. We know what those are. Those are used in daily life by the judicial officers and by law enforcement. In the spirit world, there is such a thing as an arrest warrant. By the way, the pagan rulers of this world, they structure the police system and the judicial system after the paranormal. Okay, but that's another subject for now. In the spiritual realm, there is this thing as a spiritual arrest warrant. That simply means that you trick someone and bind someone, either to a certain place, to a person, or an outcome. Okay, it's really like putting a hex or a spell on someone. So in the paranormal, that happens, an arrest warrant. Actually, that is what witches and wizards tend to do when they're using their powers for malevolent purposes. Well, today it's Halloween, so it's their kind of national holiday today, but that's their problem. Look, a restraint order. This is something pagans do. Let's say you have a Chinese man who owns his own restaurant. He is a businessman, and he has his daughter. And there are those guys in the streets that are lusting after his daughter. What the guy will do is the following. He will go to a witch doctor, or if he's a warlock himself, he will do it himself. He will perform a ceremony using pictures of those men who are lusting after his daughter, and he will put a barrier, an energetic barrier between them and his daughter. So anytime his daughter now passes down the streets, there are two demonic entities around, and those demonic entities are enforcing this barrier between her and those guys. So those guys can't come near her. So there's a paranormal restraint order towards those men, which implies he can't come in contact with his daughter. Now, if the pagan decides to go further, he can also put a paranormal arrest warrant on those guys. So he can bind contention to those guys that, for example, financial difficulty keeps haunting them, in the hope that these financial difficulties will keep them away from his daughter. So arrest warrant and a restraint order. Those are used in the paranormal. And now, why am I revealing this onto you? Because this really happens. Pagans do this. You need to understand that pagans don't have the original. Believers have the original. And here's the thing. Christ talked about binding and loosing. Don't you realize that when you bind something, that means you prohibit some danger from manifesting, that there's an arrest warrant that you've placed right over there? Don't you realize that when you cast out the spirit of violence, there's really a restraint order you enforce on many people that carry danger with them? So binding and loosing, believers have the original. Pagans only have the counterfeit. But here's the thing, pagans are very serious about the counterfeit they have. They're not even aware it's a counterfeit, but the error they have, they're very dedicated to that error, and things work out for them. They have side effects because it's paganism, but hey, things work for them. And that's what matters onto them. Now, as a believer, you have the original. And you need to understand the following. Your prayers decrees and declarations work as arrest warrants and restraint orders. Anytime you decree health on yourself and around you, that is a restraint order to spirits of sickness. That's a restraint order towards sickness itself. You get what I'm saying here? And that means that everyone that agrees with sickness, man, that is arrest warrant coming after them because you decreed health. Okay? There's also an arrest warrant for everyone that tries to transfer bad energies onto you. So realize that your prayers, decrees, and declarations work as arrest warrants and restraint orders. But there's another thing I want to point out to you here. The Holy Spirit Himself, without informing you, without taking counsel from everyone, the Holy Spirit Himself can enforce restraint orders on certain people. It goes like this. When you agree with Christ, you walk in the power. The Holy Spirit is Lord of your activities. Yes, you are active. The Holy Spirit is Lord of your activities and what comes out of your activities. So when the Holy Spirit sees, and He sees everything, when He sees that there are certain people that just want to leech off of you at your expense, the Holy Spirit, after a while, will ban those people from you. He Himself will enforce a restraint order onto them, which will make it very hard for them to come near you. And you will lose those people. Maybe you have this guy called Rick that used to come around often. Suddenly, Rick is nowhere to be found. As this is Rick, can't you even remember you? What has happened? The Holy Spirit Himself placed a restraint order on Rick. You know why? Because Rick keeps murmuring and complaining, but he never wants to look beyond and make any effort for the better. He is alive, he's not bothering other people, so he thinks it's alright. He has no intention in looking for deliverance. He doesn't want any opportunity. He just wants security. And it doesn't matter which security it is, whether it's false security or real security, he just wants security. And his security is a validation of society. Now, such a guy who just gives in to the status quo unconditionally, never questions anything, that's not a blessing. Such an individual is going to frustrate you and hinder you when they keep coming around you. And anytime they're around you, they dump some of that negative waste are where you are at. So what has happened? The Spirit sees that this Rick will not change. This Rick will only get worse, and this Rick, after a while, maybe 5-6 years from now, will begin to blackmail people into pulling up with this dumping. The dumping of his waste, his energetic waste. So the Holy Spirit did not want you to go through that fight. The Holy Spirit wants you to keep operating supernaturally, so the Holy Spirit Himself enforced a restraint order on Rick. Yes, He did. There are holy angelic beings functioning as your guards to keep that Rick away. Now, that Rick that I spoke about is fictive. It's a parable I give unto you. But you have people like Rick around you, upon whom the Holy Spirit will enforce a restraint order. Yes, you can enforce restraint orders also, but after the Spirit will do it for you, so that you won't have to go to all that trouble. And let me tell you folks, when the Holy Spirit enforces a restraint order on someone, leave it as it is. The Holy Spirit doesn't have private reasons. The Holy Spirit doesn't have anything to hide. The Holy Spirit knows everything. He sees every outcome. He never has to research anything because He knows everything. So when the Holy Spirit has enough, and He makes plain enough is enough, then agree with Him, enough is enough. Let me tell you this. If you would have seen that someone would only come with energetic waste and that they would grow worse and worse and even would blackmail you into taking that waste up there at your expense, if you would have seen that, you would avoid that individual. Or if you would have noticed that, you would have taken action for your safety. But there's the thing, as a human being, you're not aware of everything. You're not meant to be. You are a vulnerable being, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the enemy wants to take advantage of your vulnerability. That's why the Holy Spirit wants you to agree with Christ, so you will walk in His power. Because when you walk in His power, and He's Lord over His power, the enemy can't come. The enemy can't take advantage of that power to come through the Holy Spirit. And here's the thing, you're not aware of everything. The Holy Spirit, who's Lord over the power you're operating in, He does see everything, He does notice everything. So there are things you will miss, there are things you will notice, but the Holy Spirit, when you walk in His power, He'll take action on your behalf. He'll take action ahead of time. There's also something you need to realize about the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit will take action ahead of time. The Holy Spirit will not wait until someone is about to break loose into a full-blown narcissist for the Holy Spirit to move the individual. The Holy Spirit will do it years in advance. The Holy Spirit, if the Holy Spirit sees that there's a tragedy coming, He will cause chaos in your circumstances to divert you from the tragedy that's about to come. But while you're going through that chaos, whether it's financially or socially or whatever it is, you're so upset with the chaos. But the reason the Holy Spirit, I'm not talking about demonic spirits now, the reason why the Holy Spirit brought that chaos in your circumstances was to divert you from a tragedy that was about to come, to divert violence away from you. And the Holy Spirit does this ahead of time. Okay? Pagans, they have a disadvantage because they don't have the Holy Spirit. They have demonic spirits that look on their behalf. But demonic spirits only look on their behalf to exploit them for Satan's purposes. So pagans will be used by the enemy without being aware of it. Most of them aren't aware of it at all. That's why Christ doesn't want you to operate like the pagans do. The pagans are quite practical. And you should be practical. But Christ wants you to be far more practical than the pagans. And I'm going to say it one more time. The Holy Spirit acts ahead of time. The Holy Spirit doesn't act in the nick of time. Just before things about to happen, the Holy Spirit comes and snatches you away. No. The Holy Spirit always acts ahead of time. Both when it comes to avoiding danger, as well when it comes to blessings. If the Holy Spirit is about to answer your prayer, or if the Holy Spirit is about to back you up energetically when it comes to operating in biblical wealth, the Holy Spirit, before you became born again, because the Holy Spirit knew you would become born again and you will develop your interest in walking in biblical abundance. Before you became born again, the Holy Spirit already began to cause chaos in your social relationships. Why? So that after you became born again, you would be freed from those people, so that they would not hijack nor sabotage your abundance you will walk in. The Holy Spirit didn't wait until you were born again and you were now developing, and now the Holy Spirit is going back. The Holy Spirit acts ahead of time. Now, the Holy Spirit, in some cases, allows certain things to continue because He has His way of rectifying them. I'm not the Holy Spirit, so that's why you need to agree with Christ, so you will walk in the Spirit and be sensitive to the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit will reveal things onto you when it's time. Well, that's it for now. Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.